Two, one, two, one, two, one, two. That truth is in the building. What's going down? Let me get my chats up here so I can see what's happening. What's happening, everybody? Man, I had some notes that I wanted to do. I wanted to say what's going down and trying to see. I had some little stuff on PTSD and like mental depression, but today is Listen and Learn Monday, so we are definitely going to do some more talking about like PTSD, insomnia, anything that might comes with like the mental depression. The whole month of May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and so I've been trying to get some people to come in here, man, and tap in so we can you know try to bring some awareness to it, man, and try to help some people out, especially us as Black people. We definitely need help, and far as somebody to encourage, man, and probably try to get somewhere and get some help. A lot of times we kind of look at this as like somebody else's problem, or that we don't go to psychs and we don't tell them our problems, and then next thing you know, we might be the ones suffering, or might be the ones you know that something bad happens. Suicide doesn't have a color, you know what I mean? And so mental health and depression can lead to suicide. It can lead to all types of things, people hurting themselves or people hurting other people. You know what I mean? There's a lot of times, some of the people that you get that be in the mass shootings, you know it's true that they suffering from something, some type of mental health disorder, or you know what I mean, bipolarism or something like that, man. And as much as awareness that we can bring to the table, anything that we can do to uplift people and bring something to the table to try to put your boots on, or to make you think about a situation, man, that's all we can do. We got to be able to try to lift each other up and be able to help each other out. I kind of wish it was more people that would step up and speak about the situation. It's not that easy, you know what I mean, to tell your story to people. And so I got two people today. One of them is a good friend of mine from way back, Christina. She's going to talk about her issues, from childhood PTSD. Um, then my cousin Tasha, she's going to talk about some of her issues with mental health. And I know also Cuz said that she struggles from insomnia, and I struggle with insomnia too. So I at least got a little bit of knowledge on that. It's so much that goes on when it comes to like mental health, man, that you might not know what's going on in your life until you go somewhere, until you get it checked out. So if you're feeling like you're dealing with some issues or you're struggling with something, get somewhere, man, so somebody can tell you, or give you some type of diagnose of what's going on. And then that way you could try to make some steps of trying to, get some help about it. Because you ain't gonna never be able to get no help if you don't know what's going on and you just sitting on it. And you know how we do, we'll try to smoke everything away. You know what I mean? We'll definitely try to, smoke some weed, uh, stay drinking. A lot of times people try to drink their problems away, or they'll just turn to some other type of drug. Anything that you can do to put a band aid on an issue. But here's the skit: as soon as you wake up and you come down, whether it's alcohol, off the weed, off any other type of drug, once you come down, guess what's gonna happen? Them problems gonna be right there back in your face. So a lot of times, while you using certain things as a dependent to, you know what I mean, to get over things, I'm telling you the truth. I mean, they coming right back. You dig what I'm saying? You never escape it by just, okay, I'm gonna drink my problems away, or I'm gonna smoke my problems away. It just don't work like that. You dig what I'm saying? Only thing that can do is put a mask on it or a band-aid on it, you know what I mean, for a couple of hours. As soon as you come down, they right back in your face. And so, you know, we want to go get some help. And then another angle that we want to also look at too is like a lot of us, we go to church, and we, you know, we pray and we ask God for healing, and I believe that God is a healer. The Bible says by his stripes we were healed. And so anytime, you talk about Jesus and us with our faith, we believe that the Lord can do anything. You know what I mean? I would never doubt him. But let me ask you this. This one guy, he said that, you know what I mean? Man, matter of fact, Saturday, I want to get a hold of this pastor. If you've seen that video that I was playing and that dude that was on the piano, man, I was at the First Antioch Greater Baptist Church, at the Greater Antioch Baptist Church over in Rock Island. And so they invited me over there to a musical festival Saturday. Had a blast, man. They had this a cappella group that was over there, some older brothers, you know what I mean? Everybody probably like 60 plus. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying that in a bad way, but I'm keeping it 100, 60 plus. And these guys go without no music. And man, they sounded so good. I mean, you can just tell that the spirit was in there because it was heavy. And then they had this brother, man, he's a pastor, you know. He kept getting up on the piano and playing music. But come to find out, he had did some time like in Chicago. You know what I mean? He never really got too deep into what he went to jail for or how much time he got, but he tried to kill himself. And so, you know, he gave a little bit of his testimony. You know, we exchanged numbers, man, and I'm hoping before this month is out that I can get him to come through here and, like, you know, give his story, give his testimony, man, and maybe, you know, turn a few people on to what he was going through. And so, the thing that I wanted to talk about is just the whole mentality of suicide and the mental health and being in church and feeling like, because he said a few times, you know what I mean, he telling God, I'm about to kill myself, and every time he tried, he wasn't successful. And so what do you do when you praying and God, instead of him just taking that desire away from you, he walks you through it. But he's there with you. He ain't gonna let you harm yourself or he ain't gonna let you go nowhere. But you know what I mean? Sometimes he might walk you through it. And so as we get into a little bit of their stories and we talk about a little bit what was going on in their life and you know how they dealing with their situations, you know, I'll tell a little bit about me. I don't really want to give away too much because I think probably like the last week, I think me and G Nice, we might tag team and do something for like the last week because we do need some more men to come up here. So if anybody, you know, any one of the guys, brothers, if you feel like, you know, you suffering from something, mental depression, whether it's bipolar, PTSD, insomnia, you know, anything, man, anxiety, holler, man. Inbox me. Jump up here, man, and let some people know what's going on because that's the only way we're gonna be able to help each other, man. Is that each one has got to reach one. You dig what I'm saying? And it sounds cliche, but it's really real. And so I'm gonna play y'all this video and then I'm gonna introduce Christina, and then we're gonna talk with her a little bit, and then hopefully Tasha will catch up. But I want you to check out what this lady is talking about and see if any of this stuff rings true. I needed more videos, but this is one of the ones that I can find on childhood PTSD. That was short. We need something. That's why I need more people. You dig what I'm saying? But check her out, and then we'll be back.
Five things that we think that are normal but are actually childhood trauma. Number one, as a child, you were not allowed to express certain sets of emotions, or you were shamed to express them. You had a caretaker who couldn't properly regulate his or her emotions and took them out on you. You were overly criticized the way you were as a child. Your reality and your feelings were dismissed, or no one took you seriously. You didn't have anyone around you who could model healthy boundaries or setting healthy boundaries. Do you recognize these?
Okay. And so sometimes, you know, like I got I gotta keep it a buck. When you dealing with like black communities, our problems might go like a little bit deeper than that. You dig what I'm saying? Um, you gotta pop on, cuz I see you. You said but that's why I gave you the link in your thing. So you gotta check into the link and then it'll put you on backstage so I can put you on. That's why I've been trying to get you to get to the backstage. So try that link and then see if you pop up. Then that's the way I can I can push you in, you know. But when it comes to like black families, our problems might be like a little bit deeper. Now, that's not to discredit white people or any other race, because you know, again, poverty has no color. You know what I mean? You can go places in Mexico where you can see some very impoverished communities and neighborhoods. We even got even in Indianapolis. You know, if you you go down on 10th and Tibbs, you know what I mean, down there, you're gonna go down there and you're gonna see some poverty white people that's living in poverty. We got some poverty white people here in Davenport. I mean, and so the reason why I'm saying that is because sometimes, you know, you can be a product of your environment to where it's like, okay, how you grow up, then that's what you're used to. And then there's certain things that you go through. And so as a child, you know, the one of the reasons why I wanted to do that is to go back and kind of talk to some of us because PTSD is a post traumatic stress disorder. And sometimes these things they stem from your childhood, you know, and what it is something, dramatic or traumatic that might have happened in your childhood, and as you get older, you've been carrying this pain for like so long that now it's kind of hard to deal with them. And so now you see yourself acting out in different behaviors, whether it's in relationships or whether it comes into your parenting. And now you don't know what to do or how to move forward in doing what you're doing because you stuck with something. And now you having flashbacks. Certain things is triggering your behaviors. And so until um that's what I was trying to tell you, because it's kind of hard to like use it. So sometimes we have to go through the messenger or we have to go through your email. So that's why I was trying to do it earlier so we could attest. There you go. I hear you. I hear you somewhere. You there? I see your face. Okay, so Tosh is here, and I think she's got some clients. So I'm gonna bring my cousin in first, and then hopefully you've seen the video a little bit, and then I'm gonna bring her in, and then we're gonna talk to her, and then we're gonna figure it out from there, and then we're gonna bring Christina in. So just hold on 1 minute. Hold on, Cuz just walked away. Oh, she just sitting down in the living room. Cuz, can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, so you all right? So are you able to talk right now?
I
I
am. I
see.
had to turn you off my phone because I had you on my phone and my computer.
Okay, I see you. Got your green shirt on.
I do.
There it is.
I do.
All right, so you're getting money and talking at the same time. Hey, multitasking. I can dig it. Hey, so let me ask you this real quick. What are you doing right now? What is that over there that you got going on? I see a
I
bunch of
do
stuff on
nails.
the wall. What is
I
that
do
like?
nails.
You do nails?
hmm I have a
Okay,
studio in a room in my house.
okay, that's
Yep.
fly.
Yep.
So, did you start watching it from the beginning when I first came on?
Yep.
Okay, so did you see that little commercial that I just played with that lady?
I did.
Okay. So I'm gonna bring my friend Christina in a little bit, like after you. I wanted to get you on here because I don't know what all you might got going on. But listen, so what I was talking about, one of the angles that I want to talk about today is like growing up with PTSD, you know what I mean, from a child, from a black family's point of view. You dig what I'm saying? And
Okay.
uh I know whatever your story is your story, but I'm just saying I wanted to touch up on that because sometimes I be thinking like us as black people, we got some issues going on that we be scared to go and try to get help for. Does that make sense?
Yeah. A lot of
Yeah.
sense.
And so like a lot of times it might been something that might have happened to us when we was a little shorty that we don't even know no better on, and now it's affecting your relationships, it is affecting the way that you work, it's affecting the way that you know what I mean, how you handle your kids. So um give me, you know what I mean, your ideas and your opinion on like PSTD and like just coming up, you know what I mean, as a child, and cuz we black, you know.
So I don't know. I don't know if I would say PTSD for me.
Okay.
Even though I had some things. So I had several. I went through several bouts of depression and anxiety, and I did try to kill myself one time. I
Okay.
went through something, but let me see. I was molested when I was 8. I was raped when I was 14, 13. I was brutally raped. Um, so I went through that whole um, promis- promiscuity
Okay.
promiscuity stage. I went through the alcoholism. I was a severe alcoholic, and did nobody know? Nobody.
Right. Now,
My,
you know what? From one of the other shows, when we was talking, I remember that you said that, remember we came across this discussion about dating older people. And remember how
yeah,
you was just like that you dated a person that was like 15 years older than you? Do you
yeah.
think like your past had anything to do with that?
It's a possibility because I mean, I don't know. I'm gonna be honest. I've always had a thing for older men, so I don't really know.
Right.
Uh, but nope. You know what? I'm gonna say no.
Okay. All right.
Because even when I was younger, even before the rape, uh, but thinking back to the whole, I was molested by a woman.
Right. Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I was molested by a woman um, when I was 8,
Okay.
and that went on, and it was a family member,
Right.
and that went on. But of course, see no, you don't tell nobody.
Right.
You don't tell nobody.
Right.
My mama knew, but she dealt with it. She ain't tell nobody. I ain't tell nobody but her.
Right.
So it was one of those things. So I wouldn't necessarily say that that had anything to do with the older men thing had anything to do with my past,
Okay.
as far as the molestation or anything like that.
Okay, well, let me ask you this then. So you
Sure.
said that your mom, she handled the situation. You told her she knew about it. She handled the situation. Do you think that the situation was handled properly, or was you still hurt from it, or you know what I mean?
Looking back, I mean, me being who I am now, as I got older, and as I got into church, I would say actually forgave the girl. And I would say, as of right now, I would say, looking back, I would say yes, because she was also young, but she was older than me,
Right.
but she was young, but it brought out some other issues where she was being raped by an uncle and things like that. So I always tell people a lot of times when you're dealing with young kids who are doing things that they really shouldn't be doing or have no business doing, you might want to look at what's going on with them, you know.
Exactly.
And a lot of times people don't look at that,
Yeah.
even and especially in our community. They don't look at that. They ready to beat, kill, but it was a child touching a child.
Right.
So who was touching that child? Who did they experience it from? So
Exactly.
that's my experience. And so looking back and feeling how I feel now, I feel like it was handled correctly because it brought out the issues that she was having.
Okay. Yeah. So it shedded some light on everybody, and so
Um,
because that there's a saying, "Hurt people hurt people."
hurt
You dig
people.
what I'm
You're
saying?
right. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So
I agree.
so what about, okay, when you hit the like 14 age and you said you was brutally raped?
I was brutally raped. Two men broke into my sister's home they came in looking for my sister and then came back later through a basement door where they broke in the house. And it was me and five of my nieces and nephews. And they told me either me or them. I had two girls, two babies that I was babysitting,
Right.
my sister's kids. And I fought and I ended up with broken ribs, bruised kidneys, and I'll be honest, your uncle hurt me. And
Right.
I think I carried that for a long time because he said it was my fault. He didn't come to the hospital. He never called. He never checked on me. So I think I dealt with that pain when it came to men for a long time.
Right. Okay.
So,
And all right. So now, all right, let's do this then, cuz let's go back to what I was saying, you know what I mean, like about black kids, black families going through some things when they're young, cuz at 14 you still a baby, you dig? And you know what I
mm-hmm,
mean? We grow up a little bit faster in our neighborhood because, as a kid, my sister, she had to babysit everybody. You dig what I'm saying? And I remember Grice probably wasn't no, no more than about 9 or 10, and she got a house full of kids. When everybody go out, so
right.
that's one of the things that's gonna happen if whoever the oldest kid is, they the babysitter. So we ain't
Yeah.
buying no babysitter. We got a babysitter, whoever the oldest kid is. Now that's something, you dig what I'm saying, that you go through. We laughing at that part, but then something bad happened to you, and
Mm-hmm.
how does that affect you today, though? Like far as like we're dealing with relationships, because I know you mentioned church, but have you ever got any professional help?
So, like I said, I would say, like after that, I was pretty secluded. I didn't do a whole lot. I didn't date no more. I didn't really have no boy. I did have a boyfriend, but he understood. Look, here ain't nothing going down. I'm good. And that went on actually into my late teens.
Okay.
But somewhere in between 18 and 20, between 18 and 24, I
Right.
experienced, when I say alcohol, I had blackouts. Like I
Right.
woke up the next day, like what happened?
Right.
I've woken up like, who are you? I've woken up, I don't know you. How did you get in my house?
Right.
Like, I've done all of that. And at
Man.
24, I woke up one day with a stranger in my bed. And I told myself then, I'm done. The next day, I had a real good job. I was making six figures. I had a real good job. I used to go to work drunk every day. I went into work. I got the information from HR, and I left that day and went and I I seek counseling for myself.
Yeah. I was just trying to put up with my buddy Jada says. She says, "I'm sorry as well. It sickens to hear that that people hurt other people." And yeah, Jada, you right on that one because I'm
Mhm.
telling you, you telling it to me, and I'm trying to get it inside of my head, but it hurts. You dig what I'm saying?
Yeah, it
It's
hurts.
because this is my first time hearing about it, but you know what I can relate to? I can relate to the blackouts. You dig what I'm saying? Being so drunk that you black out and then waking up and have to in my case, I used to have to apologize to people. I have to try to figure out what just happened the night before, falling asleep out on the concrete sidewalks and stuff like that. And so I've been at that point to where the drinking is so bad that it's like that. Um, you said you went and got some help, but let me ask you this: when
Mhm.
you was going to church, do you felt like okay? Um, did it draw you closer to God, or did you get angry at God because it happened?
No, honest, cause at that time I wasn't raised in church.
Right.
Can you still see me?
Yep.
Okay, my screen kind of blacked out. I wasn't in church then. Even in my 20s, I wasn't in church. I didn't get into church until my babies died back in 2005. Which was another whole depression point. But when my babies died in 2005, I actually my best friend, her father's a pastor, and that's when I actually joined church. Was later in 2005.
Man.
So back then, I just dealt with it, but I can speak now, and I can tell you that day, I think God was speaking to me.
Yeah. And the reason why I was asking you though, because a lot of times, I was just at church Sunday, and this guy was giving his testimony about how he wanted to kill himself, and then he was just saying, he was praying and he was actually mad at God. So when you came to that point where you felt like, okay, uh, you wanted to kill yourself, how old was you, and why do you feel like that crossed your mind?
I was about 22, and I was still dealing with the rape and the depression. The anxiety was really bad then, and I took pills. Did
Mm-hmm.
nobody even knew I used to drink the way I drank. I still went through everyday life. I remember like on your one of the shows, I had mentioned that you had that situation where you smile, but you are dying on the
On the
inside.
inside,
And
amen to
I
that.
experienced that for years, probably from the time I was 14 until like I went through that whole going to visit my mama, thinking, what if I killed myself in her bathroom? Or what if I just ran into a tree when I left here? Or, you know, um, I, oh my God, I thought of so many ways, but the one thing that never entered my mind was shooting myself.
Right.
But I had those whole conversations with myself on what if, or what if I did this, or what if this happened. I went through all of that.
Yeah.
And so for me, it was like I said, I didn't really, when I tried to kill myself, one of my friends actually walked in the bathroom and was pumping my stomach
Okay.
because I just took all the pills out of the cabinet and decided I was going to kill myself in my bathroom.
Right.
And to this day, unless my mother watches this podcast, she still don't know.
Right. But you know what? I'm so glad that you venting because you get a chance to get those them heavy bags up off you. You dig what I'm saying? But
Yeah,
let
but
me.
because I've dealt with it, and since I've been in church, and since I've um, you know uh, gained my relationship and love for God, um, I see life differently,
Hmm.
and I realize that you don't go through nothing for nothing.
Exactly.
Um, God and
Mhm.
everything you go to is for His glory. Go through is for His glory.
Amen to
You
that.
know, and so for that, that's why I was excited about it because you don't know how many young girls. I didn't know my mother had been raped
Right.
until probably about 4 or 5 years ago. We were
Right.
having a conversation and she told it like that's not you don't talk about it. And I've always told my daughter, you can tell me anything. I don't care who it is. You know, come to me. I know what that feels like. I've been
Right.
in that situation. So talk to me. You ain't nothing you can ever tell me. I don't care if it's my husband, your daddy, I don't care who it is. Talk to me,
Yeah.
you know, because I don't ever want you to feel like you are in a situation that you got to do it on your own, because
Yeah.
that is not the case.
Right.
You know, I never want any young girl or any woman to be put in that situation. You know, I hate to hear people say, well, she deserved it. She shouldn't wear that short dress. Well, why her wearing a short dress gives anybody the right to touch her?
No, at all.
You
At all.
know, that's and I hate when people do that. And I don't use the word hate. I hate when people say those things, because you're saying that because I did something, I gave them the right to do it. No. If I didn't say yes, or I give you my permission, it wasn't acceptable.
And at the end of the day though too, I mean, when you rape, and you know what I mean, that's a violation. So it's already
Right.
wrong. I mean, you can go back to the saying, no means no. But yeah,
That's
you right. That there is no excuse for a person, you know what I mean, to come and violate somebody else's body. You dig what I'm saying? Ain't no
exactly.
excuse for that. You dig what I'm saying? You can't say I was on drugs, you can't say you was on alcohol. You dig what I'm saying? And I think number one, the only way that our people is gonna be able to heal is like, you know what I mean, you gotta be ready to be accountable for situations like the sickness that's going on in you. You got to you got to come clean about it. That's the only way you can get some help. But then again, at the same time, I like what you just said, to teach these kids and teach our children. You dig what I'm saying? Like, hey, speak up. I don't care who it is. Make sure you come and holler at me, and leave it a safe a pathway where they can make sure that they comfortable and come holler at you about anything. Because a lot of
Exactly.
times, you know, we bury stuff. You dig what I'm saying? Or somebody might make you feel like you better not say nothing about this, or you better not do nothing. You know what I mean? And that's
Hmm.
how, you know, hurt stuff keep going on for like so long. Um, are you seeing anybody like right now? Do you talk to a psych or a counselor or anybody? Or do
Not.
you take meds?
I do take meds.
Okay.
I take meds, but mine are actually prescribed by my regular physician
Okay.
at this point. But they started out, but I'm on something different. I've done a lot of medications, um, but I am currently on a high dose for depression,
Okay.
and it keeps me sane. I mean, and I believe God still plays a part, because
Exactly.
you know what, I talk to Him all day, every day, and
Hmm.
I make sure that I am in a body of believers at least 2 to 3 times a week. And
Amen
then
to
my
that.
prayer team is amazing.
Right.
So but yeah, I look here. I stay on the. Please make sure I'm on your prayer list,
Yep.
because look here, pray
Yeah.
for me every day.
Right.
So yeah.
Because not only that though, because you know what, you're a survivor and you're strong. Jada was just on here, and I didn't post the other one, and this is my friend. She's from down this way, but she was like,
Mhm.
"Damn, you're strong with the heart signs." And you know, when you strong like that, when God gives you that testimony, because you know, First Corinthians, I think it's chapter 131 says, "He that glory, let him glory in the Lord." You know, and so I'm with you when you say everything is going to happen for God's glory. You know what I mean? Because when He
Everything.
brings you through something, He brings you out, your testimony gonna help somebody else. You dig what I'm saying? That might not be strong enough. There's somebody right now that might not, you know what I mean, be strong enough, that's thinking about suicide, and maybe you just helped them. Like last week, I had a lady, you know what I mean, tap in, and you know, she was in tears because, you know, what she heard somebody else say, you know, she felt like she had been going through it. You dig what I'm saying? And so,
Right.
man, mental health is serious, man. It's very, very serious. Let me ask you
Right.
this: how does your pills? How is the pills working for you? Is, you know, when you take them, do you feel calm?
It's not so much as when I take them; it's over the time, over time. Because when I first started taking them, I went through. Look, because it's like I be feeling cool for years, and then
Right.
something else can happen. Like I was cool for years, and then my babies died. I was
Hmm.
cool for years, then I almost died from COVID.
Yeah.
So it's like it be different things that bring on my anxiety or my depression, and then I was like, okay, now I need a higher dose. This ain't working no more. So it just be certain things,
Yeah.
just certain things. So it just life. And again, I still feel like, God has given me so many testimonies that couldn't nobody can't you can't tell me nothing about him, you
Right.
know. And I know most of my situations are you couldn't have did it. And didn't nobody do this for me but God. Y'all
Right.
crazy, you
Yeah.
know. So again, I pray I don't feel bad for me. I used to be in a situation where I used to feel sorry for myself. And I got to a point to where it was like, God gave you this to help somebody else because he knew you were strong enough to handle it. So he gave you this so that you can help somebody else.
Amen. Yeah. And
So
that's
that's
one
why
of the scriptures that I was quoting too. Then it says that Christ consoles us with love so that we may be able to console others in their time of need. And so whatever he take you through and he bringing you out, he's definitely giving you that voice so you can go back and help somebody else out, you know.
exactly.
Um have you ever felt like when you said that now you keep saying this and I don't really want to pull a scab off a wound, but you
Okay.
said when you lost your babies, give me
Yeah.
like a little brief of what happened with that situation for people that don't know what's going on.
My first babies, I was pregnant with triplets, and I carried them for 5 months. Gained a lot of weight. I carried them for 5 months, and they came early. I had an incompetent cervix, so they came early. They lived for an hour each. They were born an hour apart, lived for an hour each, and they all passed away.
Mm-hmm.
And I had just got married, met my husband, my first kids. It was like I had prayed for these babies, and I was so angry. Now that was a situation. I was so angry with God. That's when I got into church was after their death. But I was so angry for so long. And I thank God for my best friend who is born and raised in the church. My pastor is her daddy. And
Okay.
if it wasn't for her talking to me, because I'm telling you, that F word, that was God's first name. I'm telling you, I hated him for a long time. I was
Yeah.
so angry with him after the death of my kids that it took me a long time. And one
Mm-hmm.
day I just got up. She kept talking to me. She never let me just be.
Right.
She never let me be. Um, but she understood and she explained to me. She talked to me, but she didn't preach to me. You know, she understood my anger and she made me feel like it was okay to be angry. Um, and in itself is what got me to go to church.
Right. I gotta hold on to that little note because that's so dope. You said she never let me be. You dig what I'm saying? And she didn't preach at you because God don't preach at people. You
Mm-mm.
dig what I'm saying? He just love people. You dig what
Yeah.
I'm saying? And at the I'm glad that you said that. The reason why is because I wanted people to kind of know that God don't have a problem with you being mad at him. You dig what I'm
Nope.
saying? He's God. He can handle that. He can handle your stinking attitude or whatever you feel or however you feel about
All of
everything.
that.
But at the end of the day, he still was loving you. He was still sending
Yeah.
somebody to say, "Hey, I love you. I'm here." You dig what I'm saying? Even in your worst of your worst times, man. Because some people be thinking like, oh, I offended him or he mad at me. No, God ain't. That ain't his style. And I just wanted people to understand that and know that He's love, man. That's so deep. Cause you know what? I had no idea. You know what I mean? So you just turned the lights on to something that I didn't know. So
Well,
I
and I
knew you
will
was
say
coming on here to
3 months later, I was pregnant again.
right. Yeah, I mean, but I'm saying I knew you was coming on today, but you dig what I'm saying? I did not know. You know what I mean? And so that's so deep. Local Los, what's up, bro? But yeah, and so I want you to just stay right there. Keep doing what you're doing, and then I want to talk to my friend Christina. She's gonna come on here, and then she's gonna
Mhm.
talk a little bit about what she was going through, and then y'all both can still probably elaborate on each other's life. You know what I mean? Because that's all we're trying to do. We're just trying to figure this out, and we got people on here already. Because you can't see the comments. They already talking about good show, and they like amen, and so they feeling what you're talking about. So I'm so grateful that you're here. I'm gonna introduce Christina and just keep working. And then if you hear something that you want to comment on, just chime back in. All right,
Gotcha.
there it is. All right, so this is what I'm about to do. Bear truth. The rest of everybody, I got another person backstage, and so what we was doing is we was talking about mental health, depression, PTSD, coming from like a childhood, things that might have happened in your childhood that's triggering things today. And so my friend Christina, she's gonna talk a little bit about her story, and then we just gonna keep it going. Maybe we can help somebody else. So y'all just stay tuned. Christina, what's going down?
Hey,
Are you still there? What's happening?
yep,
You got your
I'm
green shirt
here.
on?
Yep,
What they say?
be
What they say?
kind to your mind.
Be kind to your mind. I got a shirt
Yeah,
something like that, but I think mine was doper than that though. That's cool, but mine was dope because it had like the smiley face on it and stuff. I'm just playing.
okay.
Yeah, all right, never mind. What's going down? You good?
Yeah,
Did you get a chance to listen to a little bit of what Tasha was saying?
Yeah, I heard what she said. I can relate to a little bit of that. Um, my PTSD is more from going through physical abuse from my father, and everyone in the house dealt with the physical abuse, black
Hold on.
eyes,
Time,
bruises.
time, time out. When you say everybody in the house, are you saying everybody in the house was abused too?
Yes.
Okay, so yeah,
Um,
yeah. All right.
my mom, the majority of it. But there's a situation that I still have nightmares about to this day. Um, there was one particular explosive argument that they were in. This was a normal situation, yelling, screaming. But on this particular day, he was more enraged than usual
Mm,
because she wouldn't just stand there and take the beating. She decided to run away. She was
right.
still engaging in the argument, but she was running in a circle between the kitchen and then there was a bathroom and a hallway. So they were just running in circles through the kitchen and the hallway and the bathroom. So I'm in the living room. I'm 12 years old at this time. I'm in the living room watching TV. I have my eyes on the TV, but I've got my ears on them just to make sure my mom would be okay in this
Right.
particular time. And my little brother is in his room hiding. So they're running around in this circle, yelling and screaming. And my father, on one of his trips through the kitchen, he grabs a knife. And
Mm,
so he's got this knife in his hand and he's just furious because she won't stand and take this beating. And he yells, "Somebody's going to die in this house." And so now my mom's screaming for me to call the police. So I'm frozen. Like, you want me to call the police on my dad?
right.
So I'm frozen for a few seconds and then I run to the phone and it's a rotary phone.
The
So I'm like 9,
yeah. Right.
1, and so now my dad's turned his attention to me because he's realized that I'm calling 911. So he's still got the knife in his hand and he's charging me and yelling for me to put the phone down. And I don't put it down because I'm trying to get that last one dialed.
Mm-hmm.
And so I wait for it to ring once. He's like seconds away from me. And I slam the phone down. And so then he turns his attention back to her with the knife still in his hand. And he goes back to charge her. But before he can get over there, the phone rings because,
They call him back.
yeah, they're calling back, which is something I didn't know at 12 years old, but they're calling back. So he goes to the phone and explains to the police there's nothing going on at the house. They don't believe him, and they end up coming out to diffuse the situation. But
Ooh.
I still have nightmares about that.
Exactly. Yeah. Just a little bit. That almost sounded like some S that you would see in a movie. You dig what I'm saying? The way that you was explaining that, like picking up a knife and yelling, and then you 12 years old, and you know a rotary phone. It's like, man, it damn near can't get no worse than that. Let me ask you this. Um, when you see this stuff happening to your mom, you know what I mean, and you said that you was like 12 years old, you know, how did that make you feel? I mean, because you said you didn't want to call the police on your dad, but how did you actually feel? And was you just like scared of him,
I
or
was terrified of him on a daily basis.
right? And because that's got to be crazy, because you know, I don't care what the situation is. I mean, I think everybody as a kid, if there's going to be a fight going on, they're going to cling towards their mom because they don't ever want their mom to get hurt. You dig what I'm saying? And so that's got to be hard. You saying that your brother, he's hiding, and then you're there and you're watching it, and he picking up a knife and he's threatening that somebody's going to die. When they came to the house, did your
Mhm.
mom tell him what he did? How did she not only like diffuse the situation, but how did she get rid of dude? How did she get him out of there?
She um she just remained silent. So he was with the police trying to talk about how nothing was going on, but they had been out there before on
Right.
some domestic violence stuff.
Right.
So they pretty much weren't trying to hear it from him.
Hmm.
And I'm, of course, like behind the counter listening to, the whole conversations back and forth. So the police tell him that if they have to come back out there again on some domestic violence stuff again, they're just going to put him in jail for a couple nights or whatever.
Okay.
So that silenced him and they left.
Okay. So like I'm saying, so when they leave, did he chill out? Was
Yeah.
that his like?
Yeah,
Okay, he
he
didn't come in
chilled
there.
out after that cuz he was scared of jail.
Right.
So that
And your peoples are from Jamaica, right?
yeah.
Okay. Let me ask you this: was he a heavy drinker? Did he drink liquor and he throw these fits, or was he just, what I mean? He was just an angry person.
He didn't openly drink, but he had alcohol that down in the basement. He wouldn't just be walking around with alcohol, but I think he'd be down in his cave drinking. But
Yeah.
he was just violent all the time. It could be anything. Like if he thought you looked at him wrong, just anything.
Oh, that's crazy. So let me ask you this then. All right. So dealing with that as a kid, one of the things that I was studying on when you talk about like PTSD is a couple of things that can happen. Like something as you get older can trigger and bring that frightening situation back to the forefronts of your mind, give you
Mhm.
anxiety, or they say that sometimes you can take on the role of your mother and become a victim in a relationship because you think it's normal. Did any of that right there happen to you?
Yeah, I've been in numerous of abusive relationships,
Uh,
physical and verbal abusive relationships. Every relationship I've been in has been some sort of abusive situation.
so I, yeah, because you know it ain't right. You dig what I'm saying? I
Mhm.
mean, yeah. So I mean, I don't have to tell you that it ain't right, but give it to me like raw. What makes you? Do you feel like you attract in relationships? Do you feel like you attracted to men like that, or do you just? How do you think it is that? Because you said every relationship has been abusive, or
Mhm.
what I mean, verbally abusive or physically abusive. Do you think you look for that? Is
I
that what?
think I attract that, but I'm not exactly sure why. So that's the reason I sought therapy for myself in the first place.
Right. Right. Okay. Yeah, because that ain't the norm. You dig what I'm saying? That's not nowhere near the norm, for anybody. You know what I mean? And so when you go and you try to go get help, what is it that you kind of like tell the psych or your counselor? You know what I mean? What kind of conversations are y'all having?
She just lets me talk about whatever I want to talk about, but she more focuses to me about pursuing self love.
Right. Yeah. Because I mean, I think one of the things, if we're gonna be doing like the mental health Mondays and the whole month of May, I think that's one of the biggest things that I'm trying to get across. It's like self love. It's like to get people to love themselves enough to, you know what I mean, to say, okay, whatever's going on, I need to go get me some help, and I want to make sure that you ain't hurting yourself because everybody on this planet is important to God. You dig what I'm saying? Whether they know it or not, whether they believe in God or not, the very fact that He wake us up every day. I got this model. He got a plan and a purpose for your life, and so I'm grateful that you was able to share that story with you. Now, let me ask you this: when you see that situation happen to you and your little brother, How do you feel about that when you say you in an abusive relationship and then you got kids?
Um, I don't want them to see that as a norm, like how I saw it. The
Hmm.
only thing that was abnormal to me about that story that I told was the fact that he picked up a knife. The rest
Right.
of it was just the norm for me,
Right.
just
So
in
the
every
fights was
day.
going on so
Mhm.
much that it was just like that. But picking up the knife in that particular day, like somebody is gonna die. You know what I mean? Yeah, that was off.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was my biggest fear, that he would kill her purposefully or on accident.
But do you understand, like, man, like how crazy that is? Is that as a 12-year-old, your people's then got in so many fights that you just think that that's normal. You dig what I'm saying? And listen to this. There's a lot of kids that's going through that like right now. You dig what I'm saying? Where they don't see no other, where the household is like toxic, man. And it's just like it's not their fault. Did you ever feel like it was your fault that they was fighting and stuff like that?
Um, I didn't think it was my fault. I was more confused because everyone was in the house was a target.
Right. How old was your little brother? You was 12. How old was he?
He was 10.
10. And so sometimes if he going rages, he would hit you or your little brother too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. See, that's crazy. And you know what? Believe me, I mean, I've because when I be doing like researches, some of the stuff is too long to like download it so people can watch it. The little one I got is so cheap it won't let me download anything over 2 minutes. But I've seen some stuff, man, where there are some households that's toxic, where they got abusive fathers in the house. There's some situations where you got an abusive mother that's in the house. Um, Let me ask you this: so when you was listening to Tasha tell her thing, and remember how she said that she left this line of communication open for her kids to say that I don't care if it's my husband, if it's your dad, if anything happens to you or you being hurt, come and holler at me. What kind of communication could you leave to your kids in a situation like that? Like, cause your mom was like, call the police, and got you getting ready to dial 911. You know what I mean? In an abusive situation, did you have your kids had to get involved in a situation like that?
No, because I would let the abuse go on verbally, but as soon as it hit that physical part, I would just jump right out of the relationship because I wouldn't want them to get involved. I wouldn't want it to go on long enough to where they were all in the mix of it.
Right. Yeah, because I wouldn't want any kid to see that. And so, like, do you have to take any meds or anything like that?
No.
But okay, if you don't take any meds, is there anything okay besides like a relationship that you might have been in, or do you think it's like say for instance something that might trigger them anxieties back to make you feel like okay, it's going back to this childhood thing that I've seen. Like, do you see it in like guys? Do you look for it in guys? Like, say for instance, when you meeting them dudes and they talking, is it something that might trigger? They might do that might trigger and be like, okay, this cat is abusive. Can you see signs that they are?
Um, in my experience, it always starts out verbal abuse, like intimidating type talk.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
And yeah, because I know for a fact that I got a chance to meet your mom, and she's a sweetheart from me seeing her at church, and then her commenting on the podcast, and so hopefully when I double back and do the domestic violence one, maybe she'll be ready to come up and speak. You know what I mean, and talk about that because we had a lot of people who stepped up. I mean, and talk like
mhm,
during domestic violence awareness month. And that's another animal in itself. That's a whole nother animal that domestic violence is. So
yeah.
um
She's
when
definitely a sweetheart. She never retaliated in any way.
right.
And it was decades of abuse. She never retaliated in any way against
Did
him.
did they stay together?
Um, they were together a long time.
Right,
They didn't separate till I entered high school.
right. Have you ever asked her like, like mom, like why did you put up with this for like so long?
Um, I asked her in the mix of it,
Right.
I asked her if she wanted to live in fear for the rest of her life and why does she stay with him?
Mm-hmm.
And she said, because he has everything, he makes all the money, you know, and you kids will have to do without if I were to leave him.
Yeah. Yeah. I could see how that could probably scare somebody to be financially unstable. Somebody try to hold that over your head and be like, "Yeah, if I leave this and that, you know what I mean? I'm gonna take this, and you won't be able to make it on your own." And it's a bunch of crap. But yeah, local Los was saying, sometimes that will mess some people up for like a lifetime. So Tosh, you still in there, and you hear what she's saying. Let me ask you this. What kind of advice, like, would you give a young lady that might be going through something that you're going through? You know what I mean? I know you spoke far as like to your children to keep that line of communication open. Like, hey, come holler at me if you see any mess like this going on. I want you to come holler at me. What would you give like somebody that might be scared to talk to their people? What would
Um,
you give? What kind of advice would you give them?
well, first, can you hear me?
Yeah, you
Okay.
still good?
So first, I just wanted to comment on what she said first. Basically, I just divorced my second husband because he was a narcissist. He was verbally abusive, um, and he would like act like he was gonna hit me. I have been choked once, um, but again, but it was always out of my daughter's presence.
Mm-hmm.
Like he would be for her, he was everything, but to me, he was meaner than a pit bull. But I have never been in that type of situation. So for me, he must have forgot who child I was because my mama would have never, you know, my mama's a fighter. She's been in abusive relationships and marriages, but she's a fighter. And I'm not necessarily a fighter, but so for me, it was different. So it was more scary. And also because I have a daughter and I've always told her this marriage right here is not the norm, honey. This is
Right.
not the norm. So please don't let this detour you because this is not the norm. And because of her, I knew, and because of me, I mean, I love myself. I gotta go.
Right.
I gotta go. I gotta go. And right now, cause I gotta sleep with a pistol under my pillow because you're stalking me
On
today.
the divorce thing, I definitely feel that, but I'm tired of having to go.
Right.
Right. But look here, I love marriage, but I refuse to be abused. I
Exactly.
refuse to
Right.
be look and me being who I am. I just told my sister this. My next husband, because I love marriage and everything it entails. I love being a wife. So with that being said, until you can show me that you can love me like God loved the church, I don't want nothing to do with you.
Amen to that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want nothing to do with you. You know,
Yeah.
I got friends, I got dates, I do all of that. But I don't want nothing to do with no man who can't love me like God told him to.
Exactly.
Right.
So, as far as my advice for any young girl going through anything that is out of the norm, if your life is not full of peace and joy, there's always somebody you can talk to. There's
Yeah.
always a friend you can lean on. But please believe that God has never left you.
Yeah, I feel you on that. I think some in some parts we having like a little bit internet connection, but I still get the gist of the whole message that you were saying, Tasha. I feel that whole thing, and then for some people that don't believe in the Bible, then they probably gonna miss that point. But that's in Ephesians when it says, "Husbands, love your wives like Christ loved the church." You dig what I'm saying? That's very important. If you can give anybody one thing, Christina, like that might be going through a situation like that, what would you give them? That's dealing with an abusive relationship based off of your old relationships. What kind of advice would you tell them about moving around or getting up out of there?
I would tell them do whatever you have to do to get away
Yeah.
and don't make excuses to stay.
Right. Yeah. um I thank both of y'all for coming on because I mean that's deep. And Christina, you might have to come back and talk to that about the domestic violence. You know, we might be able to do that one again because that's a whole nother animal too. But I understand it from the mental the depression of being a childhood and having to go through that and seeing your mom go through that, you know. But Tosh, it's all love. You know, I'll be in your face for the family reunion. We got the family reunion coming up again this summer, man. And so
Yes, I'm excited. I just talked to TT about it.
right, yep. And so listen, anytime you want to come on, cuz it's all good. You dig what I'm saying? Cuz I appreciate that. That was a lot of knowledge. You just turned me on to something that I didn't know, but I still love your love for God. Christina, right now, let me ask you this. Do you um put God into all of your relationships like now? I mean, do you heard what she said about about being
Mhm.
married and stuff like that? You said you've been married before. What do you think about God and then about getting married and about meeting your next person?
So right now, I'm not focusing on dating. I'm more focusing on receiving the love of God and loving myself.
Right. That hey, I think that right there is so important because a lot of people don't get that. You dig what I'm saying? If you start seeking the love of God and then learn how to love yourself, it's gonna be impossible for somebody to come into your circle and break that peace up. Like Cuz just said, you know, if you ain't getting that peace, then you gotta get on away from around here. Let me see what Tracy said. It's kind of long. Let me see if I can read it. She says, as a child who is to say it is not normal, if that's your day to day, it is so important as a parent to be conscious of what we're subjecting our kids to. Unfortunately, kids become a product of their environment. You are beautiful, you are a queen, and you are truly worthy. Self love, self worth. I hope and I pray that there's a relationship with God, Christina. Wow, that was dope. Appreciate that. Yeah, that spoke volumes. And so, cuz, listen, I love you. Keep doing what you're doing, grinding, man. You so strong, man. And I just appreciate the testimony, Christina. You too. You know, what I mean, that was an inspiration for me. You know, because as a man, you know, you always want to try to see what's going on. I've never been a physical abuser, you know, in my past. I can't say that I was verbally abusive and I was like a womanizer. And so, man, when God set me down and showed me my ways and my stinking ways, it was like, you know, it was incredible to see, you know, how much love that you know the women deserves and what he created the woman for, man. And so I tip my hats to both of y'all, man, and I wish y'all the best. Tasha, I'm gonna keep praying for you. Christine, I'm praying for you too, man. Thank y'all for sharing y'all stories, man. That's love.
Thank you.
Y'all good? Okay, so I'm gonna
Thank
cut
you
you off.
for having me on, cuz.
Yeah, and then listen, if I need y'all, I'm gonna inbox y'all again. It ain't over. We gonna come back to do it again. You dig what I'm saying? Christina, you gonna do it again?
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Next time I might be leveled up. I might be to give y'all bottles of grape juice. Right now, you know,
I've got
refrigerator.
something to turn up with.
You got some? Oh, I got my juice in the refrigerator, and I didn't even bring it out. I have it for tomorrow. I do. It's over there on the table.
No turn up for Christ or burn up for
I
life.
know, right?
Yeah, right. Hold on. Here we go. What you thought?
I've got my sparkling apple juice.
Yeah, I got mine too. What you got? Cuz you ain't got nothing.
Water.
Oh, okay. That's cool. That's cool.
Okay.
You can have water, but listen to this. I'm grateful. I appreciate y'all for doing that, man. And like I said, if y'all see another topic that we talking about, man, you know, jump in there and chime in because people need to hear that. You dig what I'm saying? Local lows, you already know, bro. It got deep today, man. So thank y'all, and I will talk to y'all next time. Peace out.
Bye bye.
Okay, so dig this, Bear Truth. Man, those two stories were so, I mean, like it hurt me like in the heart. Tasha is my cousin, you know what I mean? And I never even knew like some of this stuff. And you know, like Christina, you know, I've been knowing her for a while, but you know, you still don't know the insides of people's lives or through their marriages or what they go through as a childhood. And so if anybody can take anything from that, know that God love you, man. Any lady, anybody that's listening to that, I don't care if you a dude, man. And if you a guy, if you hear that type of stuff, being brutally raped. I mean, domestic violence, verbal abusive family. If you need some help, go get you some help. You know what I mean? Go and get you some help. There's some people that you can talk to too. See, sometimes we as men and even as women that's abusive and stuff like that, because there was a girl who molested her when she was a kid. You dig what I'm saying? And so it's not like women can't be abusive. Women can be just as bad in abusive relationships, verbally abusive to men. But men, I'm talking about us, fam. Get it together. If you need some help, man, and you know that you need some help, you know what I mean, in a situation like this, go get you some help, man. Ain't no sense being out there. We know the saying that hurt people, but when do we stop hurting people? You dig what I'm saying? Listen, man, I love y'all. This is the bare truth. Y'all keep your head up. God heals all. Local los, we're going to put that up and we're going to ride out on that. God heals all, bro. And listen to what Tasha said. One of the things that she said is she was just like, she was mad at God. But guess what? I had that little thing down, and she says that her friend kept on praying for her. Where was my note at about that one? Oh man, I mixed it up in some of my notes. But I wanted y'all to hear that because she just kept on saying he would not give up. Her friend just kept on preaching to her, and she would not let her be. God loves you. He ain't mad that you get mad at him. But I'm telling you, if you need you some help, go get you some help, man. There's people out here that'll give you some help. And I guarantee you, you go get you some help. And then God will show you how to build those bridges back. When you burn bridges and you know you done messed up and you done did something horrendous, give it to God. Local Losha said it best. God heals and he'll put you back, you know what I mean, where you need to be, man. Don't just stay in that funk knowing that you messed up, knowing that you talking to women any kind of way. Verbal abuse is just as worse as physical abuse. There used to be a commercial that used to say words hit harder than a fist. And that's the truth, man. Listen, that's the bare truth, man. Today was just powerful and insightful. I love y'all. I'm out. Peace.